On page 325 here of your textbook, guys, this is Chapter 5, Functions and Relations Review. So we are done the chapter now. We've got all 7 sections. We're through all that. We're getting ready for the test here. So let's take a look at really quickly at the review here so far. So the big ideas. What are the big ideas that you should know about here in this chapter? A relation associates elements of one set with elements of another set. So this means that a relation may be represented as a rule, so in words, or shown in a table, or a set of ordered pairs, or an arrow diagram. Those are the 4 ways you learned how to display a relation in the first section. And it could be a graph as well. The set of first elements is the domain. So the first elements are the domain. The second elements are the range. Very important, domain and range as well. A function is a special type of relation in which each element in the first set has one and only one element in the second set. So that means it's associated with a unique number or variable quantity in the second set. So a function is a one-to-one relationship. Okay? A linear function has a constant rate of change. So we talked about that. A straight line. A linear function is a straight line, which means that it's moving sort of, each quantity has the same rise divided by run. Rise over run. And you put a point. Rise over run. And all those points form a straight line. So a linear function, constant change in the independent variable results in a constant change in the dependent variable. So like I say, rise over run. That relationship is the same for every point on the line. The same rise and the same run, so on. Okay? If you have any questions, just go ahead and raise your hand. Those are the big ideas, though. Those are 3 big ideas. And so, for the first skill here, for 5, 2, 4, 5, and 7, okay, they're all spread out. That doesn't make a big difference to you, but we talk about the domain and range of the function. So you're able to look at ordered pairs or look at the graph and state the domain and range. So domain, again, is the first set of elements, or the first elements in the ordered pairs. So these values here are the domain values, right? The first sets. The range are the second sets. So the range is the y values, the second numbers, okay, and so on. For the graph, the domain is the set of values of the independent variable, and the range is the dependent. So for this graph right here, we have a domain between, this is 0, it goes all the way from 0 to what? Okay, so that's time. So what's that? 6, 12, 18, 24. So 24 hours. So that's the domain, everything in between there. So 1 day. And the range would be everything between -4 and what? This looks like 10. Okay, so that's our range. Now, the domain is all possible times in 1 day, or you would say between 0 and 24 hours, and the range between -4 and 10. This is called set notation, and this is how we write sort of between this value and this value. Remembering that these signs right here, okay, less than or equal to, that means that the first point is a solid dot and includes that value, and the last point is also a solid dot because it's or equal to. Okay? Any questions about that? No? Okay. Okay, so determine the rate of change for a graph. So we did this as well. Again, you want to take the rise between any 2 points, the rise, and here they show it as 150 kilometers here, divided by the run, which is 2 hours. So 150 divided by 2 is 75, and the units would be kilometers, that's the units for the rise, over hours, the units for the run. So remember, this is rise is up or down, divided by the run, which is left or right. That's how you find the rate of change. That's also the slope of the line. And of course, the rate of change is positive when the graph goes up and to the right. So this one has a positive slope, positive 75. And it's negative when it goes down. So if it goes down like this from left to right, that is a negative slope or a negative rate of change. Questions on that? The slope is 75, that's right. Yeah. And in this question, because they're giving you units there, the rate of change would be 75 kilometers per hour. The slope, if you're just looking for the slope, the actual value of the slope would be 75. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, any other questions? All right. So this one here, the last point here, determine the intercepts of the graph of a linear function. Now, we graphed with 3 points, okay? You really, as I mentioned, you only need 2 really. So that's fine. So let's do this example here where they're using the intercepts to graph the function. So let's start here with this graph. If you were to graph this, again, I've been kind of showing you, take 3 values, a negative, a 0, and a positive. The other thing you could do, because you only need 2 points to make a line, right? So you could find the intercepts only, which means that if you want to find the y-intercept, okay, the y-intercept, you let x equal to 0 and solve for y. All right? So that's down here. The x-intercept. When x is 0, you plug 0 in, and you get 5. So we have 0, 5 is the y-intercept. When you let the y, or the f of x here, equals 0 and solve for x, okay, that's the x-intercept. So here we go, we let y equal 0, or f of x equals 0, and we solve for x. So I'll just show that again down here so you can see every step. So you would subtract 5 from both sides, and so you have negative 5 equals negative 2x. Then you would divide by negative 2. That means x would then be equal positive 2.5. Okay? So that's using just the intercepts to graph. And of course, let make room for the graph here. Then you can just use those 2 points. And that's, you can show your graph that way. So here we are. And 0, 5 would be right here. And 2.5, 0 would be right here. And so you would draw a line through those 2 points. Okay? So that's acceptable too. If you're graphing, you can just use the intercepts. You don't have to use 3 points. The thing is, though, if you just use 2 points and you do one math error, like I say, if I did something wrong here and I had a second point over there, the third point kind of helps you realize if you made a mistake, right? So it's hard to make the same mistake twice and get 3 points all in a row. You know what I mean? So 2 points is a little bit risky as long as you do it right. So I always suggest 3 points so that you don't get anything wrong. Okay? Any questions on that? No? Okay. Okay, that is the review. And again, that's in your textbook, page 324 and 325. But that's a review of the whole chapter for chapter number 5, functions and relations. Okay, so here are the review questions from the textbook. And I'll just kind of show these on the video in case you forget your textbook at home.